Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD. Welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host, JD. JD, how are you today?
Good news. She said yes. We are going to prom. It's going to be fantastic. It's not going to be the most awful night of my senior year of high school, which is how my actual prom night turned out. Horrible, horrible night.
Hey, do you think you would you'd rent a limo for this one? Is it worth toning up the dough?
You have to rent the limo. You split it between 6 people. What, $20-$30 a pop? No big deal.
Yeah, I did that one year. I did that for the prom, but the other ones I just drove my car.
Oh, it's not homecoming, dude.
Well, I had a red Camaro though.
Did you really? Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Of course you did.
It wasn't brand new. I mean, it had like 4 miles on it when I got it. No, it had like 50,000. It was used. Yeah, it was a sweet car. I miss it. Old Red Dragon. Actually, I named it Christine and kept the Stephen King book in my glove box and would read it from time to time.
You had books too.
Oh yeah, I could afford a few books.
You didn't have to go to the library like a peasant.
So this week we are discussing the 1980 horror film Prom Night. Before we dive into the prom night, let's remember to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, CastBox, YouTube. That is the best way to help support the show. And while you're there, drop us a 5-star review, show us a little love, and help us continue to grow. JD, what are your first memories of watching Prom Night?
I have to admit, I did not watch Prom Night until the reboot came out. And I said I have to see the original.
Okay.
So I found that bad boy, watched him, and then saw the reboot. And I felt very satisfied in the comparison between the two.
Okay, I like that. And we're definitely going to talk about the reboot in the next episode. So we're going to kind of make this a special little, probably just be a 2-parter. But we'll dive into the reboot on the next episode. I remember watching this movie on a rental from Family Video in college. And I was looking for some material for the old Spank Bank. And, not Spank Bank. She makes me wistful. Jamie Lee. Damn it. But yeah, it's a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. I wanted to check out the Scream Queen's work. And I was not disappointed. I do like this movie. I bought it on DVD. And I've watched it a couple times over the years.
Are you wanting me to comment on your Spank Bank comments?
I was hoping.
Why didn't you invite me over when you rented it in college?
I didn't really like you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know. I probably should have. We could have had a lot more fun in college than we did. It's like we became friends after you left college. Kind of weird.
Yeah, that'll happen.
That'll happen.
The college that we went to was a weird place, and being that we ran in sort of different circles for a lot of it, it wasn't conducive to.
Yeah. Primarily due to my roommate. Most people avoided us like the plague. God damn you, Sabinus. Let's go ahead and fire up the trailer here. If you're by the computer, you have access to watch it, get on the YouTube, type in Prom Night trailer, and you'll be looking for the one titled Prom Night 1980 trailer. 272,000 views, and it was uploaded by Trash Film Orgy. Very Christian name. I'll give a 3, 2, 1 click countdown, and we will watch this together. JD, are you ready?
Yep, I am ready.
3, 2, 1, click.
a special night in the lives of all of us. A night to be beautiful, to be desirable. A night we can break all the rules and make our own. Prom night. Everyone at Hamilton High is getting ready for prom night. It's a day of rehearsals, arrangements, final preparations, and last-minute phone calls.
Nick? Wendy, do you still like to play games?
They're too old for games, but someone still wants to play.
Why? Callie, it's been a long time. Tonight, it's my turn. Everything is on.
Tonight, someone has come to the prom alone. Someone who watches in the silent corridors.
Callie.
Someone who waits until no one can help. Prom night. If you're not back by midnight, you won't be coming home.
Ooh, scary last line. JD, what'd you think of the trailer? Yeah.
Yeah. To me, this trailer misses the mark.
Mm-hmm.
It's very boring. I like the Saturday Night Fever sort of vibe that we get at the beginning and the way that it sets it up. But I mean, shoot, the movie Gutterballs does the same thing successfully about bowling alleys. And then we get to see a freaking bowling pin shoved up someone's hoo-ha.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really boring. I actually started looking at my cell phone while I was watching the trailer, looking up a couple of the actresses, but there's a couple parts I don't like, but the biggest part, I guess, is just too much of the guy calling up and being like, Wendy. It's just like it killed all the momentum of the trailer.
David.
It would have been better if it was David. So let's dive into the box office numbers. Let's see if this translated to some dollars at the box office. Prom Night debuted August 15th, 1980. The film was distributed by Embassy with a runtime of 94 minutes and a production budget of just 1.5 million Canadian. We don't have our typical week-by-week breakdown here, but here's what we know about the financials of the film. Prom Night was a commercial success upon its release, especially within the drive-in theater circuit. The film went on to become Canada's highest-grossing horror film of 1980, earning nearly $15 million at the United States box office. The film received Genie Award nominations for editing and for star Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, and it also became a cult film, but was considered a cult film. The total domestic gross here, just short of 15 million, so it's 14,796,236 bucks. JD, thoughts on the box office numbers there?
I think that's a pretty decent take, considering it's a movie about a prom night murder.
Yeah, plus that's almost 15 million US, and they only put in 1.5 million Canadian.
I don't know the transition rate.
I mean, it's pretty good now. I don't know what it was in 1980. But
I mean, like
15 million is probably about 20 million Canadian.
6 Tim Hortons equal 1 Dunkin' Donuts, so
Tim Hortons is way better than Dunkin' Donuts. That's a whole nother conversation, though.
I've never been to Tim Hortons.
You're missing out.
What's the farthest north you've been?
I've been into Canada. So,
Mister, I've been to Canada.
Well, I went for a class field trip in 5th grade. It wasn't that cool. Like, we drove up, crossed the border, went to like a little museum, and then went right back. I don't know why I remember this, but I had Burger King that day.
In
Weird.
Canada?
Yeah. And like there was like a travel stop there. And I had all the restaurants, and I Burger King. I don't know why I remember that. It's so weird.
What'd you get at Burger King?
I got the chicken tenders, french fries, and probably a high C.
Nice. Good man.
Dipped in barbecue sauce.
The high C or the tenders?
Both. No, I'm kidding. Just the tenders. I was a bit of a weirdo with my food back then. For whatever reason, I would only eat one thing at a time. I only ate certain items. I didn't really eat burgers at all. It was almost all chicken tenders. So I would eat the tenders first, then eat the fries, then drink my drink.
So you're a 14-year-old girl.
Borderline ADD. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the critic response. Let's get off of Burger King. I'm getting hungry here. So let's use Rotten Tomatoes to gauge the response of the film here. JD, how do you think the critics received Prom Night in 1980?
Once again, I'm at a quandary. We're at 1980. We've seen the slasher film genre rolling out. We know what to expect. We've done My Bloody Valentine in our archives. We've done Halloween in our archives. We've done Friday the 13th.
We have.
In our archives. We're pretty good at sort of rolling with the punches with this. Horror movies tend to not get as much love as they need to or that they deserve. So I feel like the premise and the execution is respected, but I think that critics probably responded to a little bit of the just repetitive, dull nature of the films. And, again, you didn't even watch the trailer. You put your phone up and your eyes down, and
I watched about a minute and 20 seconds, and I was like, let me look up this Wendy lady. Ooh, still got it.
I'm going to say critics were not necessarily impressed or happy, and I'm going to say 39%.
Very good guess. The total percentage was 45%. So they did not like it. The audience response, this shocked me a little bit, 34.
Oh.
Not a big audience film.
That is definitely surprising.
Yeah, I hope that didn't hurt our downloads. JD, take a guess at how the reboot did in comparison.
I feel like the reboot was probably in the gutter in comparison.
8%.
Yeah, there it is. I was going to say 13%.
But scored higher on the audience side, 38. So 4% higher from the audience. Let's hear from a couple of the critics. Roger Ebert of the Sun-Times. I'm not going to give the star rating because I just want to give the quote and then I'll give you the rating, JD. Roger Ebert said, "Why do people go to these movies? Question mark. End of review." Gave it 0.5 out of 4 stars.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
I'm sure there's a longer version of the review, but the quote that I saw just said, "Why do people go to these movies?" That's awesome. Vincent Canby of the New York Times gave the film 2 out of 5 stars, so he liked it slightly better, and said, because it's quite easy to figure out the killer's identity by simply keeping track of who is off screen a lot, much of the movie is just vamping for time. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a horror movie in general. You have to vamp on time. You have to float and fluctuate, and you have to have the curtains and...
They didn't have the foresight to keep us guessing like Scream did in 1996.
Is it pronounced foreskin?
What? God. Okay. What are you looking forward to?
That was funny.
That was great. It caught me so off guard. Like I literally lost every word in my head.
Oh, that's what she said.
So what are you looking forward to most when we dive into the full review for Prom Night?
There's a certain mustachioed man who has a certain epic demise that I just love watching.
Mm-hmm. And I look forward to Jamie Lee Curtis. I just loved her in the 80s and 90s. Still do. She's getting a little up there in age, though.
Little long in the tooth. Let me ask you this. Do you like her better in Prom Night or True Lies?
True Lies.
Oh, you didn't even have to think about it.
Yep. Nope. Thought long and hard about that one. It's True Lies.
Yeah. I get what you did there. That's okay. Hey, how's that going for you?
It's going all right. And it'll go all right for you guys if you subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, CastBox, YouTube. Remember to give us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're at Back in Time Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can email us at backintimepodcast@gmail.com. I'm at KAutry29 and JD's at Unjust Justin. But it's time to climb back into the DeLorean, punch in today's date, and return back in a couple days for the full review. Talk to you on Wednesday. See ya.
Kyle was talking about boners.